The remains of Corporal Jacob Moore, a Catlettsburg, Kentucky native, returned home today. Moore was one of the 4 Marines killed in a NATO training exercise 2 weeks ago in Norway. Corporal Moore was just 24 years old. His family, friends, and fellow Marines gathered at the Tri-State Airport where his plane landed.
It's a great privilege to be able to help in some way, and to meet you and your family, and to pay tribute to a patriot and someone who gave up a portion of their life so that I could do this in freedom. And so it's been a great honor, and I appreciate it.
Corporal Moore was a Boyd County, Kentucky native. He graduated from Boyd County High School in 2016. His visitation will be held there this Sunday. The funeral is on Monday. London welcomed a new business today, offering customers a little taste of Jamaica. Little Taste of Jamaica began as a food truck last year, but the new storefront opened its doors today, serving authentic Caribbean cuisine to the London community. Co-owner Destiny McClymont says her and her husband are overwhelmed by the amount of people that have walked through their doors today.
We're just really thankful for this whole community and supporting us, and people even travel from Williamsburg and Somerset and stuff just to support us. It means a lot to us, and we're just hoping that we potentially grow with everybody's just support.
Little Taste of Jamaica is located on North Main Street in London and is open Monday through Thursday from 11 to 7, Friday from 11 to 8, and on Saturday from noon until 6. We'll have more on this business and some others coming to the London area tonight at 6. A conference in Prestonsburg all about standing up for victims brought workers from across the care spectrum together to share information and ideas. WIMT's Buddy Forbes has more from the annual event.
Mountain Comprehensive Care Center hosted its 21st annual Healing Program Conference today, inviting health professionals to stand up for a brighter tomorrow. The event, a behavioral health conference focused on sexual assault, behavioral disorders, and more, brought professionals from around the region to the Mountain Arts Center to expand their resources, using workshops to provide information about topics like victims' rights and adverse childhood experiences. Healing Program Director Heather Green says it is a chance for those who work in community-based services to gather and share ideas.
There's a lot of folks here from DCBS, there's a lot of educators here, there's a lot of human service workers, case managers, therapists, and peer support, a lot of different agencies, and they provide a wraparound service in the community, and we all collaborate together to provide services for victims in need. Organizers say events like this are crucial in keeping those conversations going, expanding knowledge on things like human trafficking in eastern Kentucky. In Prestonsburg, Buddy Forbes, WIMT Mountain News.
Other Mountain Comprehensive Care Center programs were also on site, as were outreach programs from across the region. Hear more about the conference and its mission coming up tonight at 6.
Well, it's actually turned out to be a rather nice, at least nice looking day around the region today as we continue to see sunshine work back into the mountains. The only thing is, it is chilly outside. Freeze warning in effect for many areas tonight. Means we're going to be spending a lot of time below freezing tonight. Frost advisory in effect for just 5 counties. It's going to be at least slightly milder, but either way, a chilly night on the way. And that's because we're clearing those clouds out. You see a few more hanging around the Mountain Parkway. It's late at this hour, but we are continuing to see temperatures on the chilly side into the mid and upper 40s. Yeah, a couple of low 50s. Middlesboro checking in at 52 at this hour. Pinpoint Doppler, a clean sweep around the mountains. We zoom out, and we're looking at a clean sweep really around the eastern third of the country. You got to go out to Kansas before you run into any more of those showers out there. So we should be in good shape, at least over the next 24 hours or so. Keep that WIMT weather app handy, though, because we will start to see the potential for more of those showers working into the region as we head later on into tomorrow night. I'll have the details on that coming up in just a bit. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Split almost entirely along party lines, House lawmakers voted to end the federal ban on marijuana, decriminalizing a drug for which tens of thousands of Americans are serving time behind bars. CBS's Michael George has the story.
The bill to legalize marijuana brought passionate debate from House lawmakers.
This is an important, fair piece of legislation.
This is a piece of garbage. I oppose this legislation.
Republicans argued the U.S. has more urgent priorities.
Record crime, record inflation, record gas prices, record number of illegal immigrants crossing our southern border. And what are Democrats doing today? Legalizing drugs.
The bill passed 220 to 204, almost entirely on party lines. It calls for eliminating criminal penalties related to marijuana and for establishing a process to clear criminal records. Democrats pointing out that Black Americans are more than 4 times as likely to be arrested for cannabis-related crimes.
We must end this failed policy of marijuana prohibition, which has led to the shattering of so many lives, primarily Black and brown people.
Most states have already legalized marijuana for either medical or recreational use, and studies find a majority of Americans support that trend. Stephen Post works for a nonprofit fighting to free people imprisoned for marijuana crimes.
To have someone ripped away from the life that they're living, from yourself, from their family, from their children, you just can't describe what that does to someone. It's very traumatic.
The bill still needs to pass the Senate, where it faces long odds for breaking through Republican opposition. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has proposed his own bill that would legalize marijuana and has committed to moving forward with it this spring. The TSA says it's becoming more inclusive by setting up new standards for transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary air travelers. Among the changes, the screening process will be gender neutral. Gender identification will no longer be considered relevant for identification verification at checkpoints, but the traveler's name has to be the same on IDs and tickets. And while working on enhancements to its advanced imaging technology, screenings will be less invasive for passengers. The war in Ukraine shows it is almost impossible to live a normal life when fighting is going on around you. More than 4 million people have fled from the country since Russia invaded about 6 weeks ago, but 90% of the country's population has stayed, trying to do their work and support their families. Incredibly, grocery stores are still open, and when there is no physical comfort to be found, there's always the spiritual, with many prayers for peace. In underground bars turned bunkers, young volunteers relax and tell war stories. Outside, others mix cocktails, the Molotov kind. Instead of partying, they also provide food and shelter for exhausted fighters. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is reportedly making a big career move. Psaki, who has served as press secretary since President Joe Biden took office in January 2021, is expected to step down at the end of this month. People familiar with the matter say she is now in advanced contract negotiations with cable news giant MSNBC. Axios, which first broke the news, reported that Psaki will host a show for the network's streaming platform as well as regular news shows. Psaki and MSNBC have not commented on the reports. Could Mike Pence be laying the groundwork for a 2024 presidential run? On Thursday, the former vice president unveiled his freedom agenda, which includes policy ideas that are strongly linked with Republican economic mainstays like tax cuts and regulatory rollbacks. In a news release, he said this agenda will, quote, keep America from further decline and decay. The plan also calls for the protection of religious freedom and to bring an end to federal funding for abortion. Among those who helped craft Pence's agenda, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey and former Trump White House counselor Kellyanne Conway. Nationwide just did a study that showed 85% of people rate their driving as excellent or very good, but only 29% of people gave others the same rating. And drivers say roads are considerably more dangerous today than before the pandemic, with half saying driving is more stressful. It makes sense when you look at the numbers. Fewer people were driving in 2020, but there was still a nearly 7% increase in car crash deaths. And things only got worse in 2021 with a 12% increase in deaths on the roadways. Coming up on First at 4, the unemployment rate drops to a level not seen since before the pandemic. We'll have the latest job numbers.
And plenty of sunshine, but some showers will be possible as well heading into the weekend. I'll break those chances down on the way.